Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on a Wednesday. Welcome back. Excuse me, I'm all choked up emotionally about Philly. Welcome back to American Sunrise. Vice President J.D. Vance assured the American people there is not going to be boots on the ground, U.S. boots on the ground in Gaza. He called on Hamas to disarm. Take a look.
Unless Hamas disarms in accordance with the agreement, very bad things are going to happen, right? And also the incentive is that if they disarm, there's a better future for everybody on the other side of it. But in terms of the international security force, Steve and Jared, Admiral Cooper are working on that very issue right now. Remember, this peace deal was struck under the president's leadership literally a week ago. The hostages were returned, 6 days ago, 5 days ago? So we're in the phase now where we're actually starting to conceptualize what that international security force would look like. I think it's important for Americans to know a couple of things. Number one, there are not going to be American boots on the ground in Gaza. The President of the United States has made that very clear. All of our military leadership has made that very clear. What we can do is provide some useful coordination.
For more, let's bring in retired Navy Captain, GOP strategist Armond Kournay. And Armond, great to have you here. I know you wake up early, so we appreciate it. The Vice President says no U.S. boots on the ground. Clearly the right move. So how should the U.S. go about all of this? Because this is not easy at all. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. So there was a couple of very important things that the vice president said yesterday. Frankly, I think the most important thing was that he was very clear, said this is going to take a very long time. And I love the fact that he's setting these kinds of expectations. But I also love the fact that you have Indonesia, who's going to send 20,000 troops, along with Egypt, Qatar, the UAE, Azerbaijan, and several other countries in that region, Islamic countries, that are offering to put troops on the ground there in Gaza to help keep the peace. Now, in terms of what the United States is going to do, the U.S. will send troops to Israel, and they will provide training. They'll provide coordination. They'll provide a lot of the instruction and the management of this effort because the United States, frankly, has the best logistics chains of any nation in the world when it comes to the military. Despite the fact that we have our own issues, we're still light years ahead of everybody else. So we can make the whole system work. We just don't need to actually have those troops in Gaza because I think that would be very counterproductive. And I think that's actually something, it's one of those rare things that everybody can actually agree on. So a tremendous amount of work to be done, but it is moving in the right direction. Journey of 1,000 steps.
Also, Armond, President Trump's planned meeting with Vladimir Putin has reportedly been put on hold. This comes after Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and Russia reportedly said the goal to conquer Ukraine has not changed. So what do you make of all of this?
Well, I really like the fact that Trump says that he thinks it would be a waste of time. I think that's a positive step in his direction in this type of war. I know he doesn't want to get the United States more actively involved in the conflict. I totally get that. But in order for this war to end, frankly, I think that we do. I was going back and forth thinking about the offer of Tomahawk missiles or the request for Tomahawk missiles. The Army has shown, the U.S. Army has shown that they can launch these kinds of weapons from a land-based capability. You could provide that to the Ukrainians. I would give the Ukrainians the oldest types of Tomahawks we have because it's a very complex weapon and you don't want it to get shot down and be somewhat intact if it gets into the Russians' hands. But Ukraine could use these weapons against Russian oil infrastructure, which would hit them a lot harder than, say, if you launched them against military targets. I understand the position. I respect the president's position. But in order to get Russia to end this war, you have to compel them. They're running out of foreign currency reserves. Their ability to prosecute this war at this level is limited, and we can shorten that timeline quite a bit. And then perhaps once you start pushing them back a little bit, then that's going to get Putin back to the table.
Armond, I'd like to get your perspective on the Israel-Hamas and broader Middle East peace agreement. And it comes from this perspective. Vice President Vance was somewhat critical of American media, saying that they seem to be rooting against this plan moving forward and this plan being successful. And I would argue that a lot of that apprehension, if you will, from the media in general comes from the history of this conflict and the fact that there's such entrenched sides who have such hatred for each other. How do you see all of this? How do you see, first of all, the coverage of this, what I would term a fragile peace agreement? And then how do you see people being a little concerned about whether peace ultimately will prevail in that region?
Honestly, Terrence, I don't think it's so much a question of media's critical look at perhaps this peace agreement as the media simply rooting against Donald Trump. It's just that simple. You see it talking about the CR and budget negotiations, everything the president does. Most of the media is rooting against him. I think everybody wants to see peace in the Middle East. They're just upset about the fact that Donald Trump is actually making it happen. Not to be flippant about it, but I think that's simply the case. It is going to be very, very challenging. There will be hiccups along the way. You saw Hamas doing some executions. No effort of this magnitude is ever going to be simple, especially in the Middle East. But this is the best opportunity for peace since 1978, since President Carter got Sadat and sorry, mind's blanking. But back in 1970, Egypt and Israel, two nations historically at war for thousands of years. So this is that next step in order to bring peace to that Middle East. You get a good peace deal in Gaza. You get Hamas out of there. Now it opens up the door to a lasting peace between Israel and Syria, which we still don't have since the 1967 and 1973 wars. An expansion of the Abraham Accords. Israel having a negotiated treaty with Saudi Arabia, which would also be monumental. That door is open right now, and it cannot be underestimated how it's still a long way away, but how much closer we are than we have been in the recent past to seeing this happen.
David, may I just follow up?
Menachem Begin, right? Is that who? I think it was
Begin. Yes. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sure. Go ahead, Terrence.
Dave, I'm sorry. I just want to follow up because I think you raised a very interesting point. I think so much of the focus of this peace agreement is between Israel and Hamas, but this is really a broader regional peace agreement that could really affect the entire region. And you named some of the countries, Syria and elsewhere.
I've said this so many times that the nations in the Middle East have used the Palestinians as a red herring. They've done nothing but virtue signal for these people for a very long time because all they want to do is they just want to needle Israel. They just want to go after Israel for this question, but they haven't done anything for these folks. And they let Iran metastasize this cancer of Hamas and Hezbollah and all these other proxies that they have in the Middle East that have essentially They've been using the Palestinians as a pawn in order for Iran to be a nation and give Israel a hard time. I think the president has recognized that this latest conflict between Israel and Iran, I think, needed to happen. It was something festering beneath the surface, and now that it's done, and now that it's over with, we can perhaps move forward. The last wild card really is going to be Iran. Iran is isolated right now, and that isolation needs to be gently nudged, gently encouraged, so that they continue to lose their influence in the Middle East, so that if they continue to fund these proxies in the Middle East, that some of these other nations are going to now isolate them even more economically through sanctions. We have to continue to encourage, quote unquote, countries to stop buying discounted Iranian oil on the black market, which is their economic engine. We've seen that they're pretty feckless from a military standpoint, as much as they want to talk about it. But being able to funnel money into these low intensity conflicts is what has kept Iran relevant. We take them out of the equation, and suddenly the prospects for peace throughout that entire region, an area of 1 billion people, is much brighter.
I mean, the Trump administration did a great job with the Abraham Accords, obviously, and that's a big deal. But it should not be lost on anybody that this Peace 2025 signing that we saw last week, I mean, it looked like a funeral. Let's be honest. These people were not that happy to be there. Okay. Look at them. I'm telling you, especially compared to what Israel was, with the Knesset, when we saw jubilation and laughs and it was like stand-up comedy at the Catskills. And then we see this. So that should tell you everything you need to know, that these people were dragged kicking and screaming into this. Anyhow, Armond Kournay, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Armond.
Have a great day.
All right, coming up, a new blood test is showing positive results in detecting cancer before symptoms show up. Those developments next on American Sunrise.